What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Italian Grand Prix Q&A stream on F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Hope everyone is doing well, like Bernard's instantly in the chat. What is up, Bernard's? Long time no see. What is up, everyone? He is asking. Whew, not a lot, not a lot. I am zen after what happened in Zandvoort. I talked it out in the team selection video. If you guys didn't check that out yet, go check that out. You wouldn't have missed it if you were liking the videos and subscribed to the YouTube channel. As you can see, we are pretty close to 3,600 subscribers. I'm thinking we're going to get there this weekend, but if you are not one of those subscribers, help me out and get on that right away. Hopefully everyone is doing all right. I am doing well. It's Thursday night. Usually these are on Wednesdays, but I had to rearrange the schedule a little bit. And, you know, I don't hate the vibe. I don't hate the vibe of a Thursday because it's like tomorrow's Friday. We got racing tomorrow. I'm pretty excited. NFL is tonight. Go Texans. I mean, they're not playing tonight. They're playing Sunday night, but you know what it is. It's NFL day, NFL opening day. I love all sports. It is my curse. But it's probably more my wife's curse because she has to put up with me watching sports a lot. It's a good give and take, I think. I mean, I guess I would say that. I'd have to get her on here to kind of give her or to get her take, but I think I do an okay job of kind of spreading the love between her and the sports and the fantasy sports that come along with the sports. So it is what it is. But let's get into the chat here. I've seen Benaz. Hopefully you are doing all right. Nicholas is in the chat. Hi, Ewan. Triple McLaren. Thanks, Lando. Aston, Alonso, Bortoletto, Lawson. 130.1 million budget. Only two free transfers. I think it's time to use the wild card. Thoughts? Obviously, we'll be watching practice closely. You know, I don't hate that lineup, Nicholas. There are some variations that we can play with this weekend. I'm kind of like, part of my brain is like, I think Williams will do quite well this weekend, and then kind of like steamrolling into this like tier B constructor thing that is becoming a little bit popular isn't the worst idea in the world. Selfishly, I wouldn't mind if the Ferrari boys popped up in like P3, P4 tomorrow and FP1 and FP2 and then sent all of y'all Aston Martin managers scrambling back, taking hits to my Ferrari build. But Williams are in my thoughts. I don't know if that team really needs a wild card. With 130.1 million in budget, you're above the 4A heavy threshold now, so you don't really have to worry too much about that. You might be in like more of a points scoring range. And Bortoletto, Lawson, I mean, they're still both set to rise. Alonso, I guess the Alonso Aston Martin part of it is a little tricky, but Alonso to Hadjar, Aston to Williams, I think that could work, right? What would that be looking at over here? We'd have Alonso down to Hadjar would save you about 2.4 million. Is that the same difference between... so Williams is... Yeah, so that's... You're about 2 million short there. Yeah, 2 million short? 3 million short? So that is a little bit interesting, but it's a good thought, Nicholas. I think it's a good time. Karan says, glasses on today. Must mean it's going to get real serious today. Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's these are my blue blocking glasses. So sometimes I will wear these, but yes, let's see. What else we got here? Lots of people in the chat. So give it a like. Let's get more people in here for the next hour. Don't forget to vote in the poll and like the video and let me know where you guys are watching from. Sometimes I forget where you guys are in the world. As always, I really appreciate everyone that's like watching like during breakfast, during dinner, during midnight snack, or maybe on their lunch break. I don't know, but it's 8:30 here in Central Europe. So let me know where you guys are watching F1 Fantasy Pole Position from. That's always fun to kind of see where you guys are at in the world. So Bernard says, been far too long since I missed the last stream. Happy to chit chat with y'all. I will say I kind of forced all 3 free transfers for Zandvoort with the intent to use wildcard. That's fine, Benads. If you got the wild card, I was kind of feeling it for that. Good evening, says Mac Attack. Ewan looking like Sherlock Holmes today. I like it. Thank you, Mac Attack. Mr. Iceman says, what up, what up? HA says, hey, how's it going? Ready for a Ferrari podium? I'm ready for a Ferrari podium. Bernard says, we don't talk about that Dutch Grand Prix. No, that is like Bruno. We don't talk about it. Joe Milazzo is in the chat. What's up, Joe? Glad to see you around. Hey, you and my autopilot saved my team. Great call by you, sir. Mac Attack giving me some stick for my Texan shirt. All right, chat. Let me know if you have an NFL team. Who is your NFL team, and who is your Super Bowl prediction? Give me the NFC over AFC, or like Bills over Eagles or something like that. Fill up the chat with your NFL predictions, even if you don't know that much about NFL, because it is opening day. So, or opening game. I never really know what to call it. Opening day is just like so attached to baseball. It almost feels wrong to use it for other sports, but like it's also such a great phrase that I love saying it for all the sports. Macatech says, I thought it was a 3-piece. So I've literally had this shirt for about, goodness, like 10 years. And when I was a young lad as a production assistant for NBC Sports, I had a producer that used to say that this looked like a sweater vest. And it does. Admittedly, it does look like a sweater vest, but it's very comfy and it's lasted me 10 years. It's still going strong. It's been through some highs and lows with the Houston Texans, as it happens, because that's all my team does. My prediction for the Texans this year is, as per usual, will be like 9-8, 10-7. We'll play really poorly in the wild card round, play well for a half of the divisional series, and then get our hearts broken. So that is what it is. That's what the Texans are meant to be in the NFL for the rest of time. Fantasy S. Vochto says, hi, what is up? How are you? Mitchell's in the chat. Thoughts on sticking with Ferrari because they are scoring well versus offloading from Mercedes, etc. for a week or two for the double DNF to fall off. Depends how much you need to budget build, Mitchell. And I don't think you need to with this T1 squad, because that says 130.1 million and then 125.2 or 125.5 for T2. So maybe with the T2 squad, you could get off of that. However, I am kind of thinking about this, and I don't know if you guys don't follow me on X, I would advise you to do that, because this is where I mostly tweet out my the quick F1 fantasy thoughts that come in my head. I do try to post as much on the YouTube community page, so you guys can always check that out. I think it's under posts or community. And I try to post as much on there as I do on X, but sometimes like when it's quick reaction stuff, it's just easier on X. So today I tweeted this out. There's a narrative in the F1 community that Ferrari always brings it at Monza, but is that true? Let's look at the F1 fantasy stats. So in 2022, I couldn't find the season long data. F1 Fantasy Tools used to have it, but I think they have to kind of delete some data as they go along because it's such a fantastic website and they have so much to do. But in 2022, this is the loosey-goosey math that I did based on like this year's scoring. So Ferrari had 84 points, Leclerc would have scored 27, and Sainz would have scored 47 because he had a grid penalty that year. In 2023, Ferrari's season average 45.3 points, Ferrari at Monza 67 points, Leclerc season average 15.2, Leclerc at Monza 24, Sainz season average 17.9, Sainz at Monza 38. And as you can see in 2024, Ferrari also kind of overperformed their season average 58.9 to 65 points at Monza. Leclerc did the same, 46 points compared to 28.5 points per race over the season. Sainz a little bit below, 21.9 points per race for the whole season and 19 points at Monza. But in general, Ferrari do seem to kind of bring it at their home race. So I'm really hoping we see something from these boys in red, or I guess blue this weekend. Are we a fan of this, guys? Like this blue t-shirt and the blue hat? I don't know. I think there is something quite off-putting about all the logos. However, I did see Spanners from the Missed Apex podcast. He was putting out some shorts and TikToks and stuff, and he was wearing the red version of this. And I had to say, it didn't look as bad as I thought. So, 89 euros. I'm going to have to wait for that to go on sale, like in a couple of years kind of thing, for me to hop on that blue Ferrari. But it does look nice, but it's a lot of sponsors on there. Alrighty, Mac Attack. With the 4A being in jeopardy due to such a close field, it's all out points for the rest of the season for me. Yeah, I think I'm getting there, Mac Attack. I agree with that. HA says watching from the UK, Finland W, Czech Republic, Connecticut, walking the dog. Nicholas is in. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Nicholas is watching from Denmark. Oh, Nicholas, are you Danish? Because tomorrow night our countries are playing each other in a pretty important football qualifying match for the World Cup next summer. Karan says, Washington, D.C. on my lunch break. Caleb says, hello, I had same team as you. Now I'm thinking about two teams. T1, Alonso Piastri, Albon, Bortoleto, Russell, McLaren, Aston, and T2, Norris, Piastri, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Lawson, McLaren, Aston. What you thinking? P.S. I'm in Poland, 8:30 here. Hello, Central European neighbor, Caleb. T1, Alonso, Piastri, Albon, Bortoleto, Russell, McLaren, Aston. Yes, that's a nice squad. And then T2 is Norris, Piastri, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Lawson, McLaren, Aston. So just based on like what generally we have seen so far this season, Caleb, is that Aston Martin is struggling a little bit with their straight line speed. Now they have been better in Hungary and Zandvoort, but those are different tracks to Monza. And I'll be interested to see how Aston Martin does. I actually posted my Italian Grand Prix preview on rotoballer.com. So if you type rotoballer.com and then type in like F1 Fantasy, that should pop up on the old goggle machine over there. And my one big prediction this week, which I did get right last week when I said both Ferraris would finish outside the top 5, which did actually hurt my own F1 Fantasy team. So maybe I should stop doing predictions like that. But my big prediction for this weekend is that both Aston Martins will be out in Q1. That is my big prediction for this weekend. Bozadar says, hey, Ewan, what's up? FF was great in Zandvoort. Bortoleto to Hadjar. You did the Rain fantasy move, Bozadar. That was a great move by you and by Rain. So shout out to both of y'all. Saksham says, hey, I'm going for a limitless chip for third team. Any suggestions between Max, George, Hamilton? Who two can I take in my team? I've said it all season and it usually pans out, but like having your limitless chip without Max Verstappen is terrifying. So I think I'd probably keep him in there. Lewis, the vibes are pretty bad. In Formula Fantasy Hub's F1 Fantasy preview that is up on Formula1.com right now, he makes a great point about George Russell, saying he has scored 15 or more F1 fantasy points in 22 of the last 24 races, representing a high points floor for prospective owners. So great point by Rob there regarding George Russell. So maybe I'd go Russell and Max right now, but I don't know. That is tough. Watching from the Philippines, says Chura Brock. Cash Convent, after 2 bad races, I'm down to 100th. Help me. Oh no. Cash, you are still crushing. Top 100 is a fantastic season, my friend. So deep breath. We'll come back to it for Monza, where if you guys don't know, for the rest of the weekend, so obviously we're doing the Q&A stream right now. Tomorrow night, I'll have a final thoughts episode after free practice 1 and free practice 2. I'll post that as soon as possible when I get home from work and after practice. So yeah, probably, hopefully around like 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. US Eastern is when my final thoughts video will go up. And then a 2-hour deadline stream on Saturday. So like 30 minutes after FP3 is done, I will be back probably in this exact spot. Will I be wearing the glasses? Maybe not, because it'll be daytime, so I don't need to wear the glasses during the daytime. I'll probably be wearing something different than the Texans t-shirt as well, but I will be ready to go to answer your F1 fantasy questions for the final 2 hours before the deadline. And then on Sunday, it's back. The cool down room race review will be back. So I know I missed last week because I was in Zurich in Switzerland, but yes, cool down room is back, so we can all decompress together after what is hopefully a delightful Monza Grand Prix. Bernard says, I know absolutely nothing about NFL, but I shall shout out Eagles because of their green. Okay, I like it. HA says, do you think Aston Martin do well on long straights here? I don't know. My limited knowledge on that is I feel like what I've been hearing on podcasts, what I've been reading, what I've been watching are that Aston Martin is not great on the straights. I think I specifically remember Fernando Alonso, maybe in Spain, saying that even with DRS, they are getting passed by other cars on the straights. So that's not great either. Mac Attack coming in here saying, nothing against the Texans. The 49ers are winning it this year. Delusion is strong. Okay. Christy says, good evening. Cordinet says, hello, a couple of minutes late, but I'm still here. Of course, Cordinet. Cowboys fans, same feeling as being a Ferrari fan. Wow, that is a bad combo, Joe. I'm trying to think. Are you also a Lakers and a Yankees fan? Because there are several memes about you going around the internet all the time. Mac Attack says, loosey goosey math is our favorite. Thank you. Karan says, I went triple McLaren, triple Aston with Gabby Boritz. Final fix to Hadjar. Do you think we are completely past focusing on budget more than points? Should I dump Aston budget in favor of possible Ferrari points? So, not to keep touting my X account, but I also had this today. So, as much as I love you guys, and I hope that you watch all my videos, Rain Fantasy had a great video today, or his team selection came out yesterday, and he made a great point. So he said, I said here on my tweet, he mentioned it in his team selection video this week, but Rain Fantasy was onto something about the Tier A, Tier B constructor combo being the new meta from now on. In 2024, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes finished in the top 4 scoring constructors in 16 of the 24 races. So that means when all said and done at the end of a weekend, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes finished in some order in the top 4, 16 times out of the 24 races. So like incredible consistency from the top 4 teams. However, in 2025, they have finished in the top 4 scoring constructors in 6 of 15 races. So they missed it 8 times in the entire 2024 season, and they've already missed it 9 times through 2/3 of the season, not even 2/3 of the season yet. So like Tier B constructors are shaking things up in F1 Fantasy. So it's likely a combination of Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull dropping back and Tier B assets stepping up, but it's exciting to consider this over the final 9 races of the season. So yeah, Tier B is like well in play here, Karan, especially for scoring points. And I think just my gut right now without any on-track action is that Williams are going to be our kind of sexy Tier B team of the week. And that's, so I guess I could get onto like my updated team selection thoughts here. So right now, 3 free transfers, Piastri, Alonso, Stroll, Bortoleto, Lawson with McLaren and Ferrari. There's kind of a lot I can do here. I've got 3 free transfers, so that feels good. If Aston Martin is like totally lost at sea, I can do quite a fair bit of stuff and get a lot of guys that I like in my squad. Like even Isaac Hadjar, that would leave me 4.7 million in the bank. Triple McLaren with Williams, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Lawson. Now, I said it on the team selection, but Bortoleto and Lawson aren't my favorite long-term holds in F1 Fantasy just based on the points forecast, and like Bortoleto's 24 points from Hungary are about to drop off for the Baku Grand Prix in Azerbaijan. So that's a little bit concerning. If he doesn't score like a lot of points this weekend, he could be in a bit of bother for Baku. And so that's so this is something I am thinking of here. However, if it turns out that like Ferrari still look very good, there's also quite an easy way for me to honestly just do 2 transfers, which I don't know how I feel, but I could do 3 free transfers, kind of get weird with it. Like I could also keep Stroll and also keep Alonso if they look okay, and just go straight from Lawson to Albon. And then roll 2 free, like, and burn a transfer again, but that doesn't feel useful either. So Hadjar and Bortoleto are very good budget building options. Alonso's right there at 0 points as well. Alonso now continues his streak of he has scored at least 4 points in every Grand Prix this season that he has finished. So the 0 points for a max price rise should be attainable outside of a DNF. Lance Stroll keeps getting it done as well. Albon is really nice because those 27 points from the Dutch Grand Prix are going to hang on to his rolling average for the next like race and a bit. So that's not bad at all either. 4 points, and Williams should do quite well here. It's kind of like a weird budget point. I'm almost at 130 million. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. but I am a little bit scared of Aston Martin's potential to be quite bad this weekend if the straight line speed stuff does not come into play. If I go with the two cheapest drivers to bring in Colapinto and Pierre Gasly, who's going to fall this week, I can get up to George Russell by 1.7 million. I'm 0.3 short of Lewis Hamilton and 0.4 short of Charles Leclerc. So if you got 0.4 million more than I do, quite jealous of that, especially getting like a double Ferrari in. I don't have a lot of love for this 4A lineup right now. Russell would have to show me something. I think Russell can probably nip like a top 5 this weekend, top 5, top 6 finish, which wouldn't be too bad. Like Rob said in his F1 Fantasy preview, like 15 points in 22 of the last 24 races. That's pretty dang good. But it doesn't feel like an upside play. It doesn't feel like the right time to go to 4A heavy. I'd love to get there with Charles Leclerc. What I was hoping for was Isaac Hadjar had a phenomenal race last weekend, but I was hoping I'd be able to get Hadjar in here instead of Gasly and feel a lot better about my lineup. But there are so many ways to go. I think right now, the constructor, if I was going to go with a tier B constructor, it would be Williams, just based on like kind of the vibes. And then getting all the way up to Lando is possible in 2 moves, which is very nice. But I've got Stroll, Borletto, Lawson. Like, this could be an option, and it leaves me 3 free transfers for Baku. Like, if this gets me in trouble this weekend, I still have 3 free transfers for Baku as well. So I don't hate this either, but that's a little bit of where my brain is at. It's still kind of all over the place. I think free practice is going to be really, 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 really important this weekend. All right, back to the chat. I'm done indulging myself. Current T3 budget is 133.9, but seems pointless at the moment. I know, because no one's sticking their hand up. I like the color, actually, just not the Ferrari. I think we dump Aston Martin. Philippines. Denmark plays Scotland tomorrow. What is your connection to Scotland, Jude? I was born there, Nicholas. So I lived there for the first 11, 12 years of my life. And yes, I have been struck with the curse of supporting the Scottish national team for the first 30 something years of my life. So I'm already nervous. I already know that it's going to be painful and nerve wracking. Even if Scotland won like 3-0, they'd still give me like several heart palpitations throughout the game. But I think it's going to be a really, really good game. Alo says, hi, Ewan, first time live. Love the show. Thanks, Alo55. Appreciate that. Nicholas says, sorry about the silly tier. Fine, Nicholas, don't worry. Rob is in the chat. Big fan of the specs, Mick. Yeah, they're quite big. They're quite big. They're actually kind of dirty, but oh well. Yes, I would recommend the blue blocking glasses. Usually, like, my wife and I will watch some like iPad before we go to bed. Like I said was that Monday? We're binging Homeland right now. So, but the blue blocking seems to like not kind of strain my eyes. So I would highly recommend them. Free ad for all blue blocking glasses, I guess. Ethan McQuigg says, hello, Ewan. Currently have Piastri, Hulkenberg, Alonso, Lawson, Bortoletto with McLaren, Ferrari. Cannot quite get to 4A yet with all chips, but limitless left. What should I do? I think you're in a good spot there, Ethan. Like, I'm now at the 4A heavy mark, and I don't know what to do. I was so obsessed with it that missed the forest for the trees, or is that right? Missed the forest for the trees, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of a weird price point because none of these other constructors are sticking their hands up. Now watch Ferrari put it like P2, P3 in both practice sessions tomorrow, and the entire F1 fantasy community is flipping out over how to get back to Ferrari. And I'm just over here like, okay, I guess I'll just be burning 2 free transfers again, or I don't know. So I guess I could just go all the way up to Albon and burn a transfer. But I still think this Aston Martin duo is going to struggle this weekend. So I'll be really interested to see what's going on there. I haven't used any 3X chips. Good idea to use them this race. Cherubrock, I would probably try and save them for a sprint race if you can. T3, HA says, T3, Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Hadjar, Bortoletto, Mercedes, McLaren. I like it. Yeah. Hadjar, Bortoletto are good. Alonso should be all right-ish. Pretty good for budget rising if you're needing it to kind of get up to Ferrari there. So I like it. Henry asks, why the Texans? Whew, man, we're getting into a little bit of Ewan's life story corner today, but was born in Scotland. Dad's in the oil business. Lived in Aberdeen, so I'm also a Dons fan. If anyone knows anything about Scottish Premier League, so sorry for that because that is a painful sport to watch. And they transferred him to Houston, Texas, and I was like, "What's this American football deal?" And I just got in on the Texans, and that's been another almost 20 something years of pain that the Texans have delivered me. Rob says you could be worse than a Texans fan, a Spurs fan. Hey, Spurs just won the Europa League. Rob, like I remember we were doing the live stream, and you had to get out of here to go watch Spurs beat Man United. So, congrats to Spurs. Also, some great signings in the transfer window. Like Spurs are legit looking like a team, and Daniel Levy left this afternoon. So, things are looking up for the Tottenham. Saksham says, I have Alonso and Stroll both, so what should I have to do? Transfer Stroll because on straight line AM struggles, and your view on Bortz. Bortoletto should be fine. There is a sneaky suspicion going around that like all Ferrari engine teams could do quite well this weekend. So that would be Sauber, Haas, Ferrari. So keeping Gabby Bortz in your team is probably not a bad shout. And it may even open up a realm where a certain Frenchman, Esteban Ocon, who needs 3 points for a good price rise, 11 points for a great price rise, comes into our thinking. And like, if you're looking for a differential, Esteban Ocon, 1.6% of the global top 500 have Esteban Ocon in their teams. Also, I have not looked at this elite data for the Dutch Grand Prix. Aston Martin was like, holy moly. Like, they went from what is that? 3.7% of the patron top 500 in F1 Fantasy Tools to 76.3%. Holy moly. Jeez, I did not realize that the swing was that big in the community, but that is very, very, very interesting. All right, let's see. What's this poll that I got here? Will Ferrari get on the podium at Monza? Yes, 57%. No, 43%. Okay, we're going to keep that running for a couple more minutes, and then we'll come up with another one. If you have any suggestions, if you have a poll that you would like me to ask the rest of the audience that's here, there's 50 people watching, so we can get some good votes in here. Let me know in the chat below. Give me your best suggestions, and I will pick one for the final 30 minutes of the episode. And don't forget, if you are watching right now, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would really, 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 really appreciate it. Chero Brock says, if I can't afford two A-tier teams, which lower team can I go for? Haas, running backs, Racing Bulls. Sorry, I've been doing some fantasy football drafts this week. I still think Williams, Chero Brock. I think that's going to be a good shout this weekend. Reckless Madness says, thoughts on McLaren, Mercedes, plus Piastri, Russell, Hadjar, Behrman, and Hulkenberg build. I'm currently 0.2 million away, but this team has averaged 250 points per race over the last 7 races, with their lowest score 220 in Silverstone. If you don't like, I think I've been touting budget building for so long this season that it's going to take me a while to kind of get out of that mold, but Behrman's 11 points. Like, if you're on the verge of this 4A heavy lineup, I want people to be able to get above that area where they don't have to worry about it, and then they can focus on budget build or point scoring a lot more, because then it's like, oh, that guy went down 0.6. I'll just transfer him out and get the next best point scorer the following week. Like, I'd hate for something drastic to happen, and then all of a sudden Ferrari and Russell are just like crushing it, and you can't even get to the 4A heavy lineup. So I wouldn't love Behrman. Hulkenberg is probably going to be okay for a rise with 5 points as well. But yeah, just have to see what Mercedes is up to, because double Mercedes is a little bit risky there. Macattack says, I forgot to change my team for Zandvoort, so I had Piastri, Alonso, Stroll, Hulkenberg, Behrman, FF to Hadjar, McLaren, and Ferrari. Obviously not happy with Ferrari DNFs, and FF wasn't that necessary because Behrman cooked. Didn't lose much ground, though, because the triple Aston did worse. Yeah, it was such a weird... I mean, if you want to see, or you want to hear about my reactions to Sunday's race, go check out the last 5 minutes of my team selection. It's time-stamped, so you can skip right to that part. I told you my story about going through the ringer of emotions on Sunday afternoon. Sherbrooke says, so Williams would be a safe bet? Yeah, I think so. I have the same team as you. What are your plans? Asked Leica. I am kind of all over the place, Leica, to be honest. I don't really have a great feel for this week yet. And like I kind of like to have a little bit of a plan beforehand because it's like then it's like, okay, what did I see on track? What did the Sims say? But I am quite easily swayed this week, especially like with tier Bs putting their hands up and stuff, and like Williams could be good. Like if I go double Williams, I could look at so many possibilities here. Like this gets me up to 26.9 million all of a sudden, where I can bring in Leclerc, and now we're getting really weird with the lineups. Like it is a little bit tough, Leica. So I would definitely tune into my final thoughts episode tomorrow, which will be up around 7 p.m. UK time. And then I'll also be live for 2 hours on the deadline stream. So hopefully you can tune in for one of those. Karan says, interesting possibilities for this week. Thanks, Professor Ewan. You're welcome, Karan. Coordinate says, Alonso and Stroll have a very long 0.6 million streak. I'm always scared of Stroll. Yes, always. Modest Cowboy Racing, 130 million. I don't think budget should be driving any position. I have 126.1, and that's where I am. Nice. I like it, Modest Cowboy. Alex Rita says, where are we at? No matter how bad your weekend was, just remember that someone used their limitless. Ouch. Yes. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Sherbrooke has a great. Oh, Mac Attack. Oh, okay. We can get a little bit weird with it, Mac Attack, because it's a Thursday. Everyone's kind of got that weekend feeling. So, Cherrybrook, I appreciate that, but I'm gonna go with this one because it's pretty funny, and I do want to figure out what people think, because my wife and I have very different answers when it comes to this. And it's quite interesting. I'm probably gonna spell some of these names wrong. I'm pretty sure I know who's going to win this poll, but I'm interested to see what the rest of y'all think. Who is the best Spider-Man? Let's get weird for the last 28 minutes of the episode. Alrighty, Cowboy Race says, Alex, that must have been a disaster. Bernard says, listen, supporting Scotland can't be as bad as being a South African when they lose to Australia. You talk about some rugby right there, Bernard's, because yeah, that would be quite painful. Jared Brooks says, is it too presumptuous to say you're American just based on your accent? I am an American citizen, but I was born in Scotland, so I support Scotland in every single sport. I support Team GB at the Olympics, as long as they're not facing off against Team USA. When it comes to the Ryder Cup, I support Team Europe. What else? Yeah, like blood over badge? I don't know. Is that the right? I don't know. All right. HA says, T3 update. Piastri, Alonso, Hadjar, Leclerc, Colapinto with McLaren, Ferrari, or swap Colapinto to Bort and Leclerc to Russell. No, I like that team. HA. Stuart says, current team after Dutch Grand Prix, 3-time McLaren, Aston Martin, Alonso, Bortoletto, Hadjar. Am I mad just to not make any transfers this week? Only issue is second constructor. Really love your work. Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate that. Yeah, Aston Martin could be a problem, but it is just going to come down to what we see in practice tomorrow. Right now, in my head, I don't think Aston Martin will be that great. Straight line speed in Monza, where it was on the late braking podcast that Ben was saying that you're on the throttle for 74% of the lap, full throttle for 74% of the lap, which is wild. So if Aston Martin can't really get there with their top speed, yeah, not great. MacTech says, how does it feel to be the third best team for all of eternity? I'm a Dortmund fan. I feel your pain. You talking to me? What sport you talking about now, Mac Attack? What you attacking me at? Because I'm a Liverpool fan, and right now I might be supporting the best football team in the world. So that's where we're at. No, we're not doing this again. Karan, the last time that we acknowledged a Spurs fan, there was like 7 or 8 of y'all that popped up in the chat again. And I don't know what is happening here in the F1 fantasy community, but like it's absurd. But yes, Bilbao, being in Bilbao for the final, that is awesome. Nicholas says, looking forward to see Xavi Simons and Colomwani in the white shirt. Come on, what is happening? What is happening? I feel like I'm deja vu all over again. Simon M says, Norris, Piastri, Hulkenberg, Lawson, Alonso, McLaren, and Kick. 3 transfers and only 1 million in bank. Any suggestions? As I have no idea. I mean, triple McLaren is fine. Maybe Hulkenberg. You could do like Hulkenberg down to Hadjar, Alonso to Sainz, and Kick up to Williams. Maybe that would be a route you can go with. Let's see here. Joe Milazzo says, what budget do you think we need for 4A heavy after Monza? That is a great question, Joe. Let me go find out here on F1 Fantasy Tools. If we're going McLaren, Ferrari, Colapinto, Gasly, and I don't know who's going to be the next. Maybe Sainz? I don't know. With Russell and Piastri. Let's see here. So goes up 0.6, 1.2. Maybe Sainz will fall. What's he at? 5.7. So say Sainz fell, which I wouldn't actually enjoy. Let's say Sainz goes down 0.2 to 5.3. So 0.7. So you probably need close to 130 million, Joe, I think. Any thoughts on this being a 3X weekend? It looks dry and a low DNF track. The last 5 races on the schedule are high DNF. I haven't thought too much about it, Modest Cowboy Racing, but I do kind of prefer the chip in a sprint weekend, just like more points on offer. And I think like Qatar, where McLaren has been really strong the last couple of years, and that's a low DNF track, and that's a sprint race. I think that might be where I attempt to maybe play it. Or Vegas, if I can set up for 3 free transfers and Mercedes continues their kind of domination at that track, I would be interested in that as well. Do we think of the superhero persona or consider Peter Parker? All around. I think we're going all around. Mr. Iceman says, get Russell, Hadjar, Gasly in for free or continue growing budget further and transfer in Albon, Hadjar, rolling the last transfer for Baku. I mean, Albon and Hadjar are going to score a fair few points, I think, this weekend. So that's kind of not bad at all. Mac Attack was talking about Aberdeen. Wow, that's really rude. Gothenburg, Real Madrid, ever heard of it, Mac Attack? So come on. Cup Winners' Cup, let's go. Where are we at? Stuart says, am I the only Cowden Beef fan here? I might, Stuart, me and you may be the only people who know what a Cowden Beef is. So, but wow, that is a deep cut in Scottish football. Like, wow, how did that happen, Stuart? Gavin says, got to get the Spurs fans out of the chat. Well, if you hadn't come in second, like your football team, maybe I would have kicked them out already, Gav. So, ouch. G. Elford says, 132.6 million can get to Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Lawson, Borletto, McLaren, Ferrari. Going to be very FP dependent, but can afford to lose some budget. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would be a great. Honestly, I would love that, G. Alfred. I think everyone with a budget that can get to 4A would love for Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Lawson, Bortoletto, McLaren, Ferrari to be the meta lineup this weekend, and it scores the most points because there's going to be a lot of people scrambling to get back to that lineup. A lot of people. People are going to have to take hits or activate their wild cards to get back to that kind of lineup. Where are we at? Macatech says, the poll is really equal. What is your opinion, Ewan? Let me see here. What is the poll right now? McGuire's at 38%, Garfield's at 33%, and Tom Holland is at 29%. If we just take them as Peter Parker... So, personally, I think Tom Holland is my favorite Peter Parker. I think that's like an ageist thing because he's probably the closest that any of these actors have come to looking like a high schooler, like they are supposed to look like, like I think Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield maybe like were they in college? I can't or Maguire was maybe an adult? I can't remember, but like Tom Holland being a teenager and just kind of being like that close to Spider-Man is cool, but like Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, those are great movies. And like seeing Spider-Man on the big screen, like swinging around New York for the first time as like an 11, 12-year-old, that was like mesmerizing. So I think I would maybe lean Tom Holland, but it's really close between him and Maguire. I'm really surprised to see Garfield here at 33%. We got some Garfield stands in the chat. For what it's worth, if my wife was going to vote in this, she would go with Tobey Maguire, which when she first told me that, I thought it was absurd. But as time has kind of progressed and I've rewatched some of those movies, like I am moving over to her side a little bit more. Cherubrock says, but Williams poised to get a little after Monza, fingers crossed. Yeah, I mean, in the summer break, James Vowles said that Zandvoort, Monza, and Baku could realistically be point-scoring tracks for Williams, and that came to fruition this weekend at the Dutch Grand Prix, where Albon had a great result. Sainz was on for a great result before his little kind of tiff with Liam Lawson, which I think I saw on F1.com. They have had they have activated their right to appeal or whatever. So we'll see how that goes for if we hear anything about that. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to do, but oh well. Let's see here. But yeah, I think Williams will probably be a good hold for the next couple of races. I don't know how it's going to go in Singapore. GL4 says, can you elite to a fantasy more than F1 fan? How are your Merc Williams expected to do in the heat, irrespective of previous years? Both have struggled at high temperature this year. Well, so Mercedes did get their only win this season in Canada when it was quite hot and like kind of like long straighty with chicanes, similar in Canada to what kind of track layout we've got in Monza a little bit this weekend, GLford. From what I understand, the surfacing is not very similar. I think Canada had just resurfaced because that is kind of a hybrid track. But you never know. Mercedes could surprise us this weekend. MacTech says, how has your FPL started? Next question. No, it's been all right. It's been fine. I started with Holland, and he's been doing okay. I captained Bruno this weekend. It went fine. I've got 3 free transfers, so I haven't made any transfers. I'm not going to activate my wild card. The squad is doing okay. I might get in Salah for this Burnley-Everton duo that's coming up and maybe get rid of Holland. I'd love to keep Salah and Holland in my team, but I don't think I have enough moves and the budget to kind of get there, Mac Attack. How are you doing in FPL so far this season? Levi says, currently sitting at 118.9. Should I be hard targeting 3x McLaren? 4A realistically isn't happening until Qatar for me, even if it happens. But this week I'd still go Piastri, McLaren, Ferrari if Ferrari looks fast in FP. Yes, I think that would be your best bet, Levi. If you can get to a lineup like that, that would be fantastic. MacTech says, I'm an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man lover. Maybe it hits his persona in real life. The Amazing Spider-Man was good, though. Why are the best Spider-Mans Brits? It's a great question. I don't know. Fraser Elfix says, good day, sir. I want to cry after last week. I think a lot of us do, Fraser. I think a lot of us do. So there was about almost 50 people were watching a little bit earlier. So we're up to 24 likes. There's 42 people watching right now. So if you have not hit that like button, please like the video and give the old F1 Fantasy Pole Position YouTube channel a subscribe if you want to chit chat in the chat with the rest of us as we are talking Spider-Man now. So we're entering the last 15 minutes of the episode. So if you guys do have any more questions, just let me know. I'm going to take a giant swig of this adult or non-alcoholic adult beverage, and then we will get back into the last 15 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Dan Bisterbosch. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad. I've got Norris, Piastri, Alonso, Bortoleto, Lawson, McLaren, Aston. Do you recommend any changes other than Lawson to Hadjar? Kind of depends on what we see from Aston Martin tomorrow, Dan. I think Aston Martin could struggle at Monza with their straight line speed, but that's to be determined. They have obviously done quite well at the last two tracks, in Hungary and Zandvoort, but Zandvoort, from what I understand, is a very high downforce track, and at Monza, pretty much strip all the downforce off and like make your car into a rocket ship as best as you possibly can. And I don't know if Aston Martin is that well suited to doing that. Let's see. Macatek says, first year ever playing FPL. It's slightly confusing. I have 125 points. I have 3 game weeks. I have no clue if that's good or not. Prob's not. I think that's fine, Macatek. You're doing fine. It is a little confusing. I remember my first season. They've actually added a couple of rules this season, so it may have been a weird year for you to come in. Like now there's like these defensive contributions to give more points to defenders and stuff like that. It's a little bit weird. 134.6 million, says Fraser. Probably go triple McLaren plus Mercedes, Hadjar, Lawson, Bortoleto. I like it. I like that a lot, Fraser. Hadjar, Lawson, Bortoleto. I'm a little bit apprehensive on how well Lawson and Bortoleto are going to stick around in our teams, but because they are likely to rise this week, if you need to upgrade Mercedes up to Ferrari eventually, then maybe going from like Hadjar to Gasly and Lawson to Colapinto won't be the worst thing in the world, and you might maybe it won't give you enough money to get up to Ferrari because you need what, about 5 million for that? 4.4 million. So you're not going to get that much out of it, but you could be in the range. MacTac asks 0.0 Heineken, sponsored by the Dutch Grand Prix. I wish I was sponsored by the Dutch Grand Prix. That'd be nice. No, it's Athletic Brewing Company. They're based in the States. They are from Connecticut. Connecticut or San Diego? Where are they at? They have one station in Connecticut and one station in San Diego. So yeah, brewed in the USA. Dan says, thanks. Appreciate your videos. Anytime, Dan. Anytime. Thanks for joining the chat and asking your question. Very much appreciated. Whew. Man. So I've been commented on my sweater vest t-shirt. I've had comments about wearing glasses for the first time. We've talked about Spider-Man. We've even talked about a little bit of F1 during all this fun that we're having. So it's been a really, really fun chat this week, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with me on a Thursday night. Quasar says, currently sitting at 121.7 million. The 2.9 million from last week is the only nice takeaway of last week's disaster class. Yeah, that is very true, Quasar. Like, I didn't score, I think 172 points is what I scored, and like 3.1 million, I was just like, it doesn't even feel good. Doesn't even feel good at all. Like, usually I'd be over the moon about getting a 3.1 million price increase. And just with how that Dutch Grand Prix went, I was just like numb. I was like, yeah, okay, like that's cool. I can afford 4A now, but like we're all just eventually gonna turn to dust in the earth or sink into a black hole. I was in a bad spot on Sunday night. It probably would have been a very entertaining cool down room episode, but I'm not sure if YouTube would have kept me up for long because there may have been some bad language coming out of my mouth. Coordinate says, I have Piastri, Hulkenberg, Bortoleto, McLaren, and triple Aston Martin with 8 million in the bank and 2 free transfers, leaning towards Hulk and Stroll to Albon and something else with 16.3 million. Not bad at all. You maybe don't even have to bring out Hulkenberg. You could just bring out Aston and get to Williams. Maybe they're Coordinate. Not too bad at all. Let's see here. Let's see. Mr. Iceman, considering how the big content creators are doing, my FPL team is doing amazing, almost top millions. So far, only regret is benching Paqueta over Verts this past week. Yeah, Paqueta is in my thoughts. Yeah, Walsh from FML, FPL. I don't know if you listen to that podcast. Highly recommend it. Those guys are hilarious. Like, they have the best chemistry I've heard on a podcast. Like, FPL Wire is pretty solid, but the way that Alon and Walsh like just riff off each other is like A plus plus. Like, I would love to have a co-host or just a guest on this YouTube channel or podcast wherever you're listening or watching, and just like have that much fun. Like, they do such a good job of making it sound like just generally being at the bar chit chatting about FPL, and I'd love to get something like that down in F1 Fantasy. Let's see. Javier says, hopeful for Ferrari. Mac Attack says, time for this fella to sleep. See you at the deadline. See you, Mac Attack. Have a good one. Shreyan says, bro, I only have 113 as total budget. What should I do for Monza? I don't have any chips to use, but I want to rebuild it completely. I don't care about extra changes made. Well, then definitely wait for FP3, Shreyan, and you'll get as much info as possible. You'll get the free practice simulations from F1 Fantasy Tools. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up yet, you can still use promo code UN50 for 50% off your first month at F1 Fantasy Tools, the single best resource in F1 Fantasy. If you ask me, I am like, yes, I am an affiliate, obviously, but yeah, like I use it all the time. Like literally, it's probably my most visited website by far. So I would highly recommend it. But Shreyan, if you don't care about changes, if you're just going like scoring the most points and you just want to do it, I would just wait. Don't go early on anything. Wait until the deadline. Join me on Saturday at 1 p.m. UK time, 9 a.m., 8 a.m. Eastern in the US. And I will be live for 2 hours answering all of your F1 Fantasy questions. Let's see. Should have gone a little crazy with my limitless team last week with the Zandvoort Mini League. Lando and Ferrari got me from the top 100 to the last 30%. Ouch. Let's see. I got 92 points. God save my soul, says Quasar. That is very unfortunate. Quasar says, I've given up on the budget building for the 4A line, and I just need 9 races of differential to take back the 3rd spot of my friend's F1 Fantasy League. There you go, Quasar. You can do it. And we will do it together on Saturday for those 2-hour live streams. But I will have another episode tomorrow night. That will be my final thoughts episode. So like I've said a couple of times already, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel so you get that little alert whenever an episode goes live, or goes up, and then whenever I go live to talk about F1 Fantasy. The poll right now is who is the best Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is leading 43%. Tom Holland has come back and overtaken Andrew Garfield. He's at 32%. Andrew Garfield is at 26% trailing, but Tobey Maguire kind of storming away with it from here in F1 Fantasy. But yeah, I think that's going to do it, guys. I think I'm going to get out of here because we got free practice 1, free practice 2 tomorrow, got final thoughts video, got 2-hour deadline live stream, and a cool down room episode. So I will be seeing, or you will be seeing me a lot on this YouTube channel over the next 3 days. Let me know what you guys want covered. Hit me up on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan, and yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. It's always fun when it's a doubleheader in F1 Fantasy. It feels like there's way more interaction in the community because everyone is like awake and like they realize that there's racing going on, so they're very excited. I'm very excited. I love a good doubleheader. It's actually the second to last doubleheader of the season. I was looking at the calendar today, so we've got one other doubleheader after this, and then we end the season on a triple header. So yes, that's kind of where we're at. But Cherrybrook says, my fave F1 Fantasy pod so far. Thank you, Cherrybrook. I really appreciate that. Or, well, if you're talking about this one, hopefully, or are you about to troll me and tell me another one? Because then I'll be hurt, but that's okay. I do love a good troll. Javier says, thanks you. And yes, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Like I said, if you're watching this on replay later in the day, later in the night, whatever, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment with any questions you have, or hit me up on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan. But that'll do it. I'll be back tomorrow with a 10-minute, 15-minute episode on my final thoughts, and then I will see you for 2 hours, 2 whole hours
on Saturday as we go right down to the Italian Grand Prix deadline. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.